Have you ever found yourself nodding yes to something while a tiny voice inside your head screamed, "No, don't do it"? Most of us have. It feels harmless in the moment, like agreeing to help a coworker finish a project or volunteering for an event you don't really have time for. But what if I told you this simple habit is slowly draining your energy, ruining your focus, and possibly costing you the life you truly want? Today, I'm about to reveal a shocking truth. The biggest reason people can't say no isn't that they don't know how. It's that they think they're not allowed to. What happens when you break that mental rule? Some say your entire world changes. By the end of this video, you'll discover secrets about why always saying yes can secretly wreck your health, your relationships, and even your success. And I'll show you the hidden path that can set you free. No guilt, no drama, and no regrets. Constantly saying yes feels innocent. You might think it's polite or caring. Yet, it's like stepping into quicksand. One small step won't hurt you right away, but as you keep taking on more and more, it becomes harder to escape. Here's how it happens. Each new favor or obligation seems small, so you agree to it. In your mind, you're saying, "It's just a few minutes of my time," or "I don't want to upset them." But underneath, there's something deeper at play, an emotional currency you're spending. Psychologists sometimes call this emotional bandwidth, which is a fancy way of saying you have a limited mental budget for stress, creativity, and patience. Every yes uses up a bit of that budget. Picture an invisible tab running in your mind. Each time you whisper, "Sure, I'll do it," when you'd rather say no, that tab goes up. It's like a growing credit card bill waiting for payment. The hidden fees show up as anxiety, resentment, or even burnout. That means the next time someone asks you for a favor, you have less energy to respond well. But here's where it gets really surprising. Most people don't just suffer alone. They eventually lash out, push people away, or start feeling depressed. It's not because they're mean or lazy, it's because they've been worn down by their own habit of never refusing requests. This silent trap keeps countless individuals stuck in a loop of frustration and fatigue. But is this the whole story? Not even close. Let's dive deeper and see what happens when these small yeses add up in truly shocking ways. Something even more unsettling lurks behind this cycle, as we'll see next. You might be thinking, is it really that serious? Let's look at a few eye-opening rumors and stories from the worlds of entertainment and business. Over the years, accusations have surfaced about celebrities who just couldn't say no to managers, fans, or family. Some watchers speculate that these stars ended up spiraling into intense burnout or breakdowns, partly because they were pulled in every direction. Appear on this talk show, film that project, attend that event. Always nodding yes, they eventually hit a breaking point. Take, for example, the whispers around certain high-profile musicians. Insiders have hinted that one pop idol, famous for nonstop tours, might have collapsed from sheer exhaustion, missing important shows, and disappointing fans. Other rumors revolve around top CEOs who accepted too many speaking engagements, eventually losing control of their schedule and spiraling into health problems. None of these individuals lacked money, talent, or drive. They lacked boundaries. We see the fallout in everyday life, too. Maybe you have a friend who's always the first to volunteer for any group project. Perhaps at first you admire their can-do spirit, but over time, they might become moody or run themselves ragged because they never get a moment to recharge. Soon, everything from their work to their personal relationships suffers. This isn't just a matter of too much on your plate. Some mental health experts argue that the emotional weight of forced yeses can spark or worsen issues like anxiety or deep sadness, what some professionals call depressive episodes. That doesn't happen overnight, of course. It's a slow-building storm that starts with guilt, blends into exhaustion, and can end in serious mental struggles. The question is, why do we keep letting this happen? Let's expose the root cause in the next section. What forces keep us trapped in this endless cycle of yes? One big factor is social pressure. Humans are wired to belong, so we're afraid of missing out or angering others. Sometimes we'd rather make ourselves unhappy than risk being seen as uncooperative. In many cultures, politeness is praised above almost everything. Turning someone down can feel like breaking a sacred rule. If you've ever squirmed when you had to refuse a neighbor's request for help, you know what I mean. That knot in your stomach, the worry that they'll think you're rude, it's a powerful push to just give in. But here's a shocking twist. The moment you start saying no more often, people often respect you more. Sounds backward, right? Yet we see it again and again. Your no signals that your time is valuable. The more you set boundaries, the more others sense you're serious and worth their respect. Think of the business leaders or creative artists we admire. They didn't just become successful and then start saying no. Many of them rose to the top because they learned this skill early on. That's not to say it's easy. In fact, the guilt can feel overwhelming, especially if you've spent a lifetime being a people pleaser. So, how do you handle the guilt that lurks around every no? Let's shed some light on that next. Once guilt settles in, it can corrode your confidence. Time to see how it sneaks up on you and what you can do about it. Guilt can be like a sneaky little ninja in your head. It appears out of nowhere whenever you think about declining an invitation, ignoring a phone call, or backing out of a favor. But guess what? Often that guilt doesn't come from you alone. It's planted there by the people around you, intentionally or not. Have you noticed how some folks will say, "But I really need your help. There's no one else." Or, "If you cared about this family, you'd be here every holiday." That's a classic guilt trip. These statements trigger the fear that you're selfish or uncaring if you don't say yes. Once that fear is in your mind, you feel pressured to agree, just to avoid the discomfort of letting them down. But is it truly kinder to say yes when you know you can't follow through happily? Think about it. If you say yes, but end up frustrated or do a poor job, the other person won't actually benefit. In fact, they might sense your annoyance or resentment. That's not real kindness. Sometimes a respectful no is far kinder than a reluctant yes. The key is to see guilt for what it really is, an emotional alarm bell, not an absolute command. When it rings, you can pause, question the feeling, and decide if the request is truly worth your time and peace of mind. Recognizing guilt trips is the first step, but how do we actually say no without causing a scene or feeling awful about it? Next, we dive into a simple method that can change your life forever. Let's talk strategy. You might have heard tips like be honest and direct, but that can feel too abrupt or harsh. Here's a simple 3-part approach you can practice. Acknowledge. Show genuine appreciation for the request. State reality. Briefly mention your current commitments or limits. Offer an alternative. If possible, propose a smaller form of help or suggest another resource. Imagine your coworker asks you to organize a big office party this weekend. You're already swamped. The old you might say, "Sure, no problem," and spend your entire weekend stressed out. The new you can say, "Thanks for thinking of me. I appreciate that you trust my planning skills. I have a tight deadline on a major project right now, so I can't handle the entire event. But I can send you the contact info for a great party planner who helped me last year. They might be the perfect fit." Notice what happened? You respected their need, set a boundary on your time, and still offered a bit of help. No meltdown, no guilt, no drama. This is how you use a polite no to maintain respect and sanity. Of course, not all requests are as straightforward. Sometimes emergencies pop up and you might feel extra pressure. What then? Let's see how to handle last-minute urgent demands without losing your cool. Ever had someone burst into your office or call you late at night with the words, "I know it's last minute, but I really need your help"? We've all been there. The clock is ticking, and it feels wrong to refuse. Yet, it might also be impossible to drop everything. Here's a simple blueprint. Pause. Don't respond right away. Take a breath. Ask, "What would you do if I wasn't available?" This reminds them there might be other solutions. Limited offer. If you can spare a small amount of help, say 10 minutes to brainstorm, offer that. But be clear that you cannot fully own the task. This approach gives you space to evaluate the situation. If someone truly has no other options and it's critical, you might choose to help. But it should be your choice, not an obligation forced on you by last-minute panic. You'll notice top performers, like certain business leaders or project managers, do this all the time. They look for ways to delegate or redirect tasks instead of automatically solving everything themselves. Now that we know how to say no in everyday life and emergencies, what comes next? Let's look at the astonishing benefits and controversies around setting firm boundaries. It might sound strange, but saying no can lead to bigger yeses in your life. By freeing yourself from endless obligations, you create room for the things that matter most, whether that's a career-defining project, a personal passion, or quality time with loved ones. Some watchers claim that one reason famous tech innovators soared to success is that they said no to countless mediocre ideas, focusing instead on a few breakthrough concepts. There are even rumors that some visionary entrepreneurs turned down lucrative deals because they knew it would dilute their energy or distract from their main goal. These bold choices often led to game-changing products or massive achievements. But here's another little-known fact. When you have clear boundaries, people start respecting your time. They're less likely to dump random tasks on you and more likely to bring only worthwhile opportunities your way. In other words, your no acts like a filter, keeping out distractions, letting in top-tier possibilities. This can stir controversy. Some folks argue it's selfish or arrogant to refuse tasks that don't align with your goals. But consider the alternative. An overextended person trying to juggle 100 small responsibilities, never excelling at any of them. Is that really better? Ready to see how life changes once you embrace your power to say no? That's where we're heading now. Let's take a peek into what happens when you decide enough is enough. Imagine this as a timeline over a few weeks. Week 1. You start saying no to small things. maybe skipping an optional meeting or declining a friend's last-minute party invitation. You feel nervous? Guilt nags at you. Week 2, you notice people respecting your time more. They ask fewer random favors. They see you're serious about your priorities. That lingering guilt begins to fade because you see no one is actually mad at you. Week 3, a wave of relief hits. You have more energy, more time to relax or tackle important goals. Maybe you start a new project you've been dreaming of, or you simply rest without feeling you should be somewhere else. Then a surprising thing happens. Your happiness and productivity both shoot up. When you do say yes, people notice you're fully invested. They feel your genuine enthusiasm instead of half-hearted effort. In personal relationships, you become more present. You're not secretly stewing over the tasks you got roped into. You're free to share quality moments with loved ones or dive deeper into your passions. This shift isn't just about your schedule, it's about your mental and emotional well-being. Saying no means saying yes to yourself, to your health, your growth, your sanity. And that change can spark positive ripples through every part of your life. So, how do we wrap this all up into one final powerful takeaway? You've just traveled through the hidden world behind that tiny 2-letter word, no. We saw how harmless yeses can pile up into a mountain of stress. We looked at controversies and real stories that show the toll this habit can take on even the most successful among us. Most importantly, we explored practical ways to decline requests gracefully and protect your precious time. Now, I want to leave you with a challenge. In the next 24 hours, when someone asks for your help, pause for just a moment. Ask yourself, do I truly want to do this? If the answer is no, use the break-free method. Say no with respect and honesty. And don't forget to offer a small solution if you can. Then watch what happens. Notice how it feels to respect your own boundaries. Notice how people respond. If you try this, drop your experience in the comments below. You might be amazed at how many others are facing the same struggle. By sharing, you give them permission to finally step out of the silent trap of saying yes to everything. Oh, and before you go, remember that your worth isn't measured by how many tasks you pile on your shoulders. People who truly value you will understand your no. In fact, they may come to admire and emulate it because you're not just refusing random demands. You're making space for what really matters. And that might be the most powerful gift you can give yourself and the world around you. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and consider subscribing for more insights on building a life of balance and success.